welcome to Enjoying Your Blended Family. Today we have a special guest.
Hello.
So this is my daughter Ryleigh. We are excited. This is kind of the first time that we've done a little daddy-daughter episode. So I'm like, wait, this is crazy. So this is going to be really fun. I'm excited for what we're diving into. Today's topic is all about our mind and our thinking. The power of our thinking can really change the course of our lives, either one way or the other. So what are ways that we can really try to make it more healthy? What are ways as parents that we can help our kids to stay on a path that's healthy for them and help encourage them along the way? So we get to get a little feedback from the other side. So y'all stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. Hey, what's up, B-Fam? Randall and Scarlett here. Welcome to Enjoying Your Blended Family podcast.
This podcast is all about helping blended families strengthen relationships with their spouse and kids while growing their relationship with God, with new episodes every Monday and Friday.
Now, Monday mornings, we take one hot topic that seems to be a common issue in blended families. We end each episode with practical tools and tips that you can start using in your own family to create those stronger bonds.
And every Friday, we bring a little excitement to help jumpstart your weekend by providing fun ideas that you can use in your marriage and with your kids. Or hey, maybe it even just stirs up some other fun ideas to do with your family.
But the most important thing is, don't forget to enjoy the moment. Life is not just about the destination, it's about the journey. Now let's get started with today's episode. All right, so today, enjoy the moment. Hey, Ryleigh. So this is pretty cool. Like I'm fixing your mic here for the podcast. I'm actually the one who put her mic on. So
yeah,
that's what a parent, right?
Yeah, he just completely Dad snatched that one.
Dad snatched it right up. So we've been through some stuff before, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. We've been through a lot, and it's been an amazing, awesome journey, and I'm so excited for all the many years to come for us. But I just kind of want to dive into talking for a minute. So we're talking the power of the mind, right? Our thinking. Mm-hmm. And as Scripture tells us in Proverbs 23:7, that as a man thinks in his heart, therefore he is. So there's so much power in that. And like whenever I hear that Scripture and I see life and I know my mind and my thoughts and everything, and I can really let them go into the gutter quick. And yeah. I can also know that when I see myself achieving something, I'm so much easier to achieve it. And when I see myself as discouraged, like I'll never hit this mark, I never do. And so, it's these things in life that are the reminders of kind of what God's Word says, that, whenever we see when we see ourselves successful, or we see ourselves achieving something that we can and we will, we can get there, but it's so easy for us to fall into a mental trap, a mental funk in a way, right?
Right.
But I was sitting here, I was remembering there was a time, and I didn't share this story before because we've had this moment, and I wanted it just to be kind of a surprise on the podcast.
You said it was going to be a complete surprise.
Just to catch your reaction, because I didn't want to take you to that emotional place. But I know as for a father, there was one point in time that I just felt like, man, I knew you were so discouraged, and I wanted, and my heart hurt for you. But like, there was a time in junior high, and you wanted to be on the cheerleading squad. Do you remember that?
Atlanta.
And you wanted to be on the cheerleading squad, and you had never shown interest or anything before. And then all of a sudden, this is what I wanted to do. Now, you were going to a school to where you had they had to try out, right? I mean, they just didn't allow anyone because it was a larger school, so they had tryouts. And so you went to, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks worth of tryout practice, and you were so excited, but they did y'all dirty. Like, the way that you got your results at the end of it was the last practice, they give you a letter that's sealed to let you know if you made it or if you didn't. and you couldn't open it then. You had to wait. You had to leave and go open it later. And I look back and think back and like, what were they thinking? That's so, man, y'all kind of come up with a better plan. But I remember picking you up after your practice, driving the truck, picking you up from school. You jump in, you just had this excitement on your face that you had this letter, and in the letter it had whether you did or didn't. And I just remember watching you open that letter and seeing that excitement just fade quickly, and just seeing you not getting accepted into that. And as a dad, I'm like, my heart hurt for you. It's like I just wanted to pick it up and make it better, scratch the letter out and be like, no, you are. You're like an awesome cheerleader, and so do you remember that day?
Yeah, I definitely remember that day.
So I know that was devastating, right? That was like a devastating moment in your life.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, but you overcame it, right?
Yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure. And I think you fell into a new love. You found another love of like soccer, and it was just kind of other ventures that you enjoyed, and band, and just all kinds of other things that you went on and were very successful and loved and stuff. So, but kind of leading to that is the power of our thoughts, right? Like we want to be something, and there's so much power in how we think about ourselves. I mean, do you see that in your life?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely struggle with self-worth and stuff like that. Just all the negative thoughts that you can deal with as a person. So yeah, definitely your thoughts do hold a weight over who you declare yourself as a person. So yeah, there's definitely a heaviness to what you think about yourself.
So and I guess so you've seen this in your life as well. I mean, we hear God's words, right? But why to you do you know that that's important for you or for us, right? How do you know that that's important?
I mean, like you can. Take for instance like that cheerleading moment. Like I was sad because there were things as a kid that you aren't exactly rooted in or confident in, to know like, hey, I didn't make the squad, but I'm still a great person. Like I'm still like, this isn't the end all be all of everything. Like there's moments in your life to where you can kind of like turn that around with your mind. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
I kind of lost track a little bit. I got to looking over here and over there, and I was like, wait, what was the question?
This is the difference in our personalities. She's more like squirrel. It's like, hey, are we doing a podcast?
Yeah, I'm 100% squirrel. So.
No, I love that. I love that about you. But it is so powerful. But one thing kind of on this topic, that we know that our mind is powerful. Our thoughts are powerful. Now our thoughts are in reality, right? Like I can't just sit here and think that, well, God says that if I think in my heart, I am, so I can go jump 300 feet in the air. And it doesn't, right? I mean, there still is the laws of gravity and thing that work against us. But it does show us the importance of how we do think is very important. And we can either have our thoughts within ourselves to reflect positivity in our lives, to build us up, to help us to be successful in our lives. Or we do the opposite, right? We use them to beat ourselves down, tear ourselves up, and make us feel unworthy. And sometimes the outside influences, the external sources, other people and stuff like that, they add to that weight that maybe we're already feeling or not, So it's like we've got to have a firm foundation in ourselves so that the outside stuff doesn't come and wreck us. Do you see that?
Yeah, 1000% I see that.
Yeah.
I struggle with that a lot now, just because there are a lot of things that, you know, happen in your life when you're young or even as an adult that can really have a huge impact on you, especially when you struggle with things where you're like insecure, or if you just have those thoughts of lack of self-worth from previous childhood things or stuff like that. Like you just have to kind of learn and discern what your core beliefs are about yourself, rooted with what God says you are, who God says you are as a person. So yeah.
Love that. Oh, that's good stuff. And it's so true. You know, it is. We got to have that. We got to have that foundation within ourselves, and that's the struggle. Because life happens, and you know, our thoughts are always coming and going. And you know, I love Scripture saying that we got to take our thoughts captive, right? And we got to be able to weed out the bad stuff, and not think on that, but think on the good things. Think on God's promises, or think on, you know, the gifts that we have, the good things, right, in our lives. And so that is powerful. And in blended families, how much more do we have those struggles, right?
Oh yeah, 1000%. Yeah, I think in a blended family, like, it can be exemplified. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Where it's almost like you've come from being a kid in a blended family. You've come from two different households, you know. You got the mom and the dad, and they both parent differently. They both tell you different things. So you've got two different voices in your head constantly. You don't know which one's real. You don't know which one's not. You're totally always in the middle. So you add this third party parent, and they're telling you things that you know, want to believe, like, they're so, you know, like, you think they're so amazing, you value them, they're make an excellent duo with your parent, whichever one it is, but then you got the other outsourced parent who's telling you different things, and it's conflicting and it's confusing, and so in your head you're contradicting yourself with what the other voices that you value so much as a kid are telling you. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, because there is, you know, just seeing it from a child's perspective, kind of growing up in a blended family, that there's a lot of voices, and you're still trying to figure yourself out, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think as a kid, there's a lot of things that I realize now, being grown, that I didn't then. That I was struggling with, such as like the whole mom concept with the stepmom, and like trying to figure out, like, oh, do I let myself love her? Do I not? Like, there's so many different things going on, and then you have so many different other factors of, like, you know, I struggled with in the beginning, like, it had always been you and me, and so then there was this other person, and now I was jealous because she was taking time away from me, and I was a little bit spoiled because you did spoil me. But,
wait, what?
But so then it was like, oh.
So you had a life-size Barbie doll that was.
Yeah,
I mean, you like had everything, right?
I basically had everything. But yeah, so it was just like, you know, now she also required time. And so I didn't know how to handle that as a kid, and I was already dealing with abandonment from my other parent, which was an issue. Not necessarily that she abandoned me, but we lived in different states, and it was hard because I had always just craved my real mom's attention. Like, I just had always wanted that and valued that, and honestly idolized that in a very unhealthy way for a long time. And so when there was another mom figure coming into the mix who also had kids of her own, I envied that relationship that her kids had with her. And so there was so many emotions, and growing up, I was just kind of really rude. I look back on it now, and I was so mean to my little sister and my little brother, but just because all I wanted in my heart was to have that with my other parent. And so there was a lot of jealousy that I didn't realize that I had, and anger that I didn't realize that I had, and sadness that I didn't realize were inside of me as a kid, that now I'm able to like understand and be like, oh, okay, wow, that's where that was the root for that emotion, or the root for that action was. So that was a lot. That was an earful. But
No,
anyways.
that was amazing. And what it really does is it kind of gives us perspective as parents. Like, you know, we as adults, we're more mature. We try to be, and we can understand the concept of our mind and our thoughts. That, yeah, I know I need to think better. I know I need to. But as a child or a preteen or a teen kind of growing up in that, you don't know that stuff yet. You know, you're still, you don't understand the power of our mind. And so as parents, we're having to help encourage or coach or, you know, teach that to you. Yeah. But in a blended family, you've got all these other struggles going on.
Yeah.
You know, so how are you to know, and how are you to navigate through all of that? And so that's kind of from a parent standpoint, like, okay, so we know adult-wise ourselves the power there is, but we got to be able to teach our kids and show our kids and help them to discover themselves and help them to step into, you know, who God's called you to be as well, and just see all the gifts and talents that are within you, and help keep your thoughts on where you're going and where you can be, and you know, the beauty of that whenever the whole world can really start trying to rob you of that. So, you know, that kind of gets to what are, like, you growing up, what are some ways that you were able to pull yourself out of the gutter? Like, we can all get to that stinking thinking type things, you know, especially as adults and as parents. But as kids, we see it in our kids all the time. You know, what is something that you've learned through kind of your process that has helped get you out of that mental funk that we get in, right?
Yes, I think initially. Initially it was keeping myself busy. I think that was a lot of the things that, just as a kid growing up, y'all were really good at. Like, oh, if Ryleigh was sad because she was coming back from her mom's, let's plan a surprise party for her. Let's go on this crazy adventure. Let's do something. Let's get her involved in something and off of the ground, you know? And so I think that really helped me for a really long time to just not be in that negative mindset, because since I dealt with I was struggling with all the emotions of, like, do my parents love me, and do what is happening, you know, like all of these different emotions, I took that internally and kind of reflected it on myself, like I wasn't enough, or I wasn't valued as a kid for my parents to, you know, just the thoughts that you think as a young kid, like my parents to stay together, or, you know, like my mom to be here, you know, with me, just all the kind of stuff like that you think as a kid. And so I took that very hard internally. So every time I would come back from my mom's house, I would just be like a wreck. I didn't know how to process any of the emotions I was feeling. I didn't know the emotions I was feeling, or how to express that in a healthy way. I think I just kind of shut down because I never took the time to healthfully process what I was going through. So by keeping me busy, it almost in a way just kind of masked those feelings for a really long time. Looking at that now, it's probably not the best thing for me because now I struggle with that even as an adult. Just like allowing myself to feel is a struggle for me because all of those emotions resurface in a very strong way from things that I wasn't able to handle when I was a kid. So
So not really being able to work through the emotions.
Yeah.
It's more like masking the emotions and getting your redirecting, right?
Yeah.
So
Redirecting the
it's like
focus.
redirect. Don't think about that. Think about this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess by doing that though, the emotions and stuff are still there.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
still there. They don't go away. You just don't know how to handle them, but you just don't think on them, so you shift. And so kind of that kind of leads to, you know, another question I had for you. Like, what are some things that as parents we did that didn't help, that hurt? So that's kind of one of those, right? One of those is, okay, so redirecting was good, but we still didn't necessarily work through the emotion part of it. We just like push that away. And as parents, you know, honestly thinking back, we didn't know to work through the emotions, you know, and that's, you know, hopefully, you know, if we had known that back then, that would have been gold. That would have been like, man, okay, we know you're sad. We know this isn't healthy. We know you're acting out. You know, let's talk about it. Let's just, you know, have a little couch session.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense, right? Of course, you're not going to do that with a kid. Like, please come sit on the couch. You know, that doesn't work. You know, especially, you know, age dependent. But yeah. So I can see where that's good and that is bad. So were there any other things, you know, that just kind of got pulled out of there? But is there any other things that you can think of that us as parents we did to kind of hurt your mindset to make you not feel worthy or accepted or who you are called to be in a sense? Hey, we'll be back momentarily. Check out this announcement.
Are you tired of focusing only on the negative in your blended family and just want to be able to enjoy it? Randall and Scarlett here, and that's where I found myself years ago, and we began to search and seek out solutions for our family so that we could experience that enjoyment that we hope so much we envisioned when we married each other. So after years of searching and looking for things and becoming very intentional on helping our blended family, we found 5 steps that we began to follow to help our blended family. And we put those things together in this Mom's Quick Guide to Blending Her Stepfamily. These are going to be 5 steps to blending success.
Yeah, and we realize that once we start doing things, once we start getting intentional and quit just complaining about it, but actually doing things to help us get those results we wanted, that's when we really start seeing a change. And there's power in that when you do that. That's why this guide is so powerful, that we walk you through exactly what we've learned. This took us over almost 15 years to learn, to get down to where now we're seeing the success from, we're seeing it, and we want you to have this guide so that you can get there so much quicker. Right now, you can have that guide. This is about a $97 thing, but right now we're giving it to you for $7. That's it. No catch. We also want to sweeten the deal a little bit, so we're throwing in 5 additional bonuses, resources that can just add to this. Our heart is we really want you to have these tools and tips and tricks to really see success in your family. Not saying that is bad right now, but man, whenever you start doing these things, there becomes so much power in your family and you see so many more blessings from it. So get your copy today, only $7 right now. This is about a $374 value, $7 right now. So get it today while we still have this offer going. The link will be below in the show notes. Now back to this episode.
I think the only thing that comes to mind out of that question is I think for a really long time there was this kind of unspoken elephant in the room of you had to be a certain way. And so there was this whole chasing perfectionism concept going around, and so for a long time there was just a lot of expectations, which are healthy to have, I guess, as a parent, for your kid. Like, you know, hey, make all A's and B's, you know, try to
make all A's and B's.
Try to get to this level, which is good. But I think for so long I got caught up in trying to be someone that I wasn't. Like I wasn't like fully and truly. I got caught up in trying to be someone who made y'all proud and someone who made y'all happy, someone who made y'all accept me, and who I felt like y'all would love. So I just spent all these years kind of masking and tweaking my personality, and this is all stuff that I'm coming to terms with even now, like as a 22-year-old person. Like, this is all stuff that I'm still realizing. But yeah, so I think just out of, you know, whatever fear that was masked in for y'all, it created this person that I was like, oh wow, you know, now I have to meet this. And if I didn't meet that, then I would turn to my self-sabotage thought method in a way to where it was like, oh my gosh, I'm not perfect. I can't live up to the expectation that they hold for me. And so it would make me sink down deeper into my thought abyss, as I will call it.
It's a good word, thought abyss.
Yeah, thought abyss. That was nothing good. But now, knowing full circle where all of that was rooted in, and y'all's own personal fears behind those expectations, I think it's come to the terms where, like, okay, everybody's at an understanding.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're all good from that. But I think that was one of the things that stuck out to me as soon as you asked that question, was there was just that level of perfectionism that I felt like we couldn't fit. And I mean, this, yeah.
No, that's good. We've actually talked about that before on a few episodes and in different things that we speak on, because that's something I think as you know, we've talked about and talked through some of these issues, is we've realized that now, you know, and at the time as parents, especially being parents that have come from failed marriages, and now we're trying to make this thing work, and we would, you know, and we look, and especially like my personality is like, no, you can do this, and no, you're so much better, you know, get it, you know, and when you're a parent doing that, you're just thinking that you're seeing your kids full, you know, this is what you can be, you know, go be that. And
full potential.
Right. Yeah. And so we would, you know, we would set unrealistic goals and things that, you know, not having that grace and not having enough, you know, just of that acceptance, like, okay, perfect is, nobody's perfect. You know, there was only one man that walked this earth, and his name was Jesus Christ. And, you know, and so I think as parents, though, we can set those high expectations for our kids. And, you know, some of that comes from us and the way that we grew up, or failed marriage, or things of that now we carry, and we're just trying to be the perfect family. And in reality, there is no perfect family. And that's kind of what, you know, through our blended family process, our journey, we've learned that, right? That there is no, family is not perfect. It is messy, but that's part of the beauty. You know, so it is part of being messy together, and just being acceptance and everything of that. So yeah, no, that's good stuff. So we, you know, that is something that we have known and come to terms with and realized. I know as we've talked about that before, that, you know, that is, you know, and in our thoughts is we never thought that that's what we were doing. And that's the crazy thing, you know, I think as parents, we don't understand that. We don't see it as being a hurtful thing, but from a child's perspective, it's like, you're feeling like, man, I got to hit a standard, even if we're not verbally saying you got to be this or that, but, you know, just our expectations can lead to that assumption, which leaves you feeling like, oh, if I didn't hit this, I'm not good enough. And, you know, and my parents aren't going to love me as much, and things of that, which is completely untrue, but that's what's being conveyed. And that's how you're feeling. And, you know, honestly, it wasn't until you were older and we started talking through all that we realized you were feeling that way. You know, and it's like, oh crap. And, you know, as parents, that's the last thing you want to do, you know, is have your kids feeling that way. So that was a big realization for us. And so it's kind of one of those as well. Like, if we had known that back then, you know, it's like we would have eased up and just shown more grace and things of that. So, okay, so kind of last question. What are some things that we did right or you wish we would have done? Or that would have helped you even more?
I think some things that y'all did right was just being there for us no matter what. Like, y'all always showed up. It was kind of like a non-verbal act of just saying like, hey, I'm here for you, you know. Every game, no matter if we had just came from the car fighting, whatever, like y'all were still there. Nobody was like, screw this, I'm going home, like, you know. So I think just y'all's presence alone was a really huge blessing in our life. And then just, I mean, the obvious, like raising us up, knowing God's word, and just knowing that whenever we feel down or anything like that, that's who we should turn to. You know, not like, what is that word I'm looking for? Approval for, you know, not approval from y'all or approval from our friends or whatever. Like, if we're really feeling like our thoughts are in the gutter, then this is where we need to turn, you know? And that's always a huge benefit in its own, because God just has a wonderful way of turning things around. I think some things that would have been beneficial as kids growing up would have been just, instead of all of the like weird assumptions that go on when a blended family gets together and all this kind of stuff, I think if we could have had moments like, say when I came back from my other parents' house, if we just sat down on the couch and, you know, because I used to lash out really hard on Scarlett and stuff like that. I would push her away super hard when I came back from my mom's, just because I didn't want anything to do with that. I just wanted my mom.
You would even do that before her when we were with your grandmother, my mother. So you would spend some time there, and you would do the same thing with her as well. So it was more like that motherly role. Yeah, you just push back.
Yeah, so it was very, very difficult. And I think just instead of kind of like being like, hey dude, stop being a jerk, just maybe would have sat down on the couch or on my bed and just kind of been like, hey, like, I noticed that you've been different, you know, I noticed that you're feeling a little sad or a little off or a little angry. You know, let's talk about it, or let's, you know, try to come to an understanding. Like, you share with me how you're feeling, and then, you know, we try to come to terms with that. Something that's like kind of mutual. And not, it makes me think of this time, and I know Scarlett's listening, but of this time where Scarlett was so frustrated with me, and I think we were both frustrated with each other at this time. But she came to my room, and I don't know where you were at. I think you were at work or something. But she was like, you're not leaving this room until you tell me how you feel. Like, it was a whole forceful thing. Like, it was non-resolving. And I was mad because she wouldn't let me leave the room and all this kind of stuff. But I think if we could come in between any of that and kind of find a like solution to where it was like, hey, no matter what you're feeling, no matter how much you try to push me away right now, I'm still here for you and I still love you, and I just need you to know that. And whenever you're ready to come talk to me and tell me how you feel, then we can come to an understanding, and I'm here and I'm open, you know. And maybe not coming at it with a predetermined thought in your mind. Maybe as a parent, just coming to it as an open door, an open mind, you know, like, this is, your kids are not just acting out for no reason, you know, there's a deeper meaning there. There's something else going on that they're struggling with that they don't know what they're dealing with. But it's gonna take some coaxing, you know, with some politeful, like, hey, you know, I hear you, I see your actions, you know, what's going on, like what's the root, you
Yeah.
know? And as long as you get to the root, I think that's gonna help to grow y'all's relationship personally, because they're gonna be like, you know, like whatever emotion I'm feeling, I know that I can always count on you because, you know, you're here, you're listening to me. I think as a kid, you just want someone to listen or someone to hug you and tell you that it's gonna be okay, you know? And so I think that's the main point here, as from a parent to a kid relationship in a blended family. Just, you know, make yourself accessible, and let them know that, you know, you're an open door whenever they're ready to come talk to you, or if they're feeling frustrated, that you're there for them and you're there to listen to them. So kind of thing. But
Yeah. Oh man, good stuff.
anyway.
Man, I'm just sitting here like, I'm one proud dad. I really am. I'm like, that's my girl. Good stuff. Great takeaways. And such a reminder for us as parents, right, in blended families, that, you know, just really being able to take the time to see what your kids are feeling, you know, see what they're going through, put yourself in their shoes. And so much as parents, we're wanting just to attack the surface, or discipline, should I say, the surface level reactions or actions that are taking place. But like you were saying, get into the heart of it, you know, sitting down and just approaching it not from a disciplinary action, but coming at it with just that love and that grace, saying, I am here for you, and I know you're going through a lot. There's stuff you don't even know you're going through.
Yeah.
Let's talk through it and see if maybe we can figure some of that out. I'm here for you. I love you. And, you know, being respectful of your timing and not trying to be forceful with any of that will speak volumes. So, man, good stuff. And all that kind of helps to build who you are, right? To help release some of those struggles, so you are stepping into God's calling on your life, stepping into those gifts, those blessings, helping you to see those, to whereas you're not struggling so much with all the other stuff that's coming along with the blended family issues.
Yeah.
So
it's like helping you to heal in the present versus 10 years later down the road and you're still struggling with the same issue because you never dealt with it in the first place.
Yeah.
So get all of that out now, heal from it, deal with it, and then grow, you know, together. So
love that. Such good words. So, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Any blended family with kids that's listening to this, let that be encouragement. Just maybe this is one of those to where you can take some of the things that seeing it from a child going through a blended family's perspective, you know, maybe that resonates a little bit. And maybe as a parent say, man, I have been a little bit more disciplinary. Maybe I should, you know, approach it from a different standpoint, or not set the bar so high, but being able to sit there and talk more, try to get to the heart of what they're feeling, their emotions. They don't always know what they're dealing with or struggling with, but the more that we just approach it with that grace and that love and that openness, the more that helps them walk through that, unpack it to where now they can continue moving forward in who they are and figuring out who they are. So, man, powerful stuff. So, good stuff. Love having you here. It's been awesome.
it's been really nice.
Yeah. So, this was, man, such a powerful episode. I'm like, I could keep going. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it.
Keep it.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down because, man, it has been a blessing, and I am so proud of you. I really am. You know, just from a daddy-daughter standpoint, I really am at who you become. So you're just a joy and a light to be around. So it's so exciting to watch you grow up, and being able to sit here and now talk about our journey together through a blended family. So is really cool. And I know that so many other families out there are just going to gain so much from that. And, you know, it's going to be such a blessing for them in their lives. So awesome. Well, listen, we love you. We are so glad you tuned in. I know you got some value out of that, but we will see you on the next one. Later.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today for another episode of Enjoying Your Blended Family. All the links we've talked about today, they're in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe below. It's free and it lets you know when we have another episode for you to listen to.
And if you want to help us out, leave us a rating and review so that we can keep reaching more people. Until next time, remember to enjoy the moment.